Today, a quick recap we will do because maybe some people joined late or whatever, they didn't hear. Uh, the first, what we discussed was what are the features of a civilization. So features of a civilization means how do we know which civilization is advanced and which civilization is not so advanced. We will know if by looking at certain features, which is, does that civilization have villages? Does it have towns? Does it have cities? If a city system is there, then that civilization is more advanced. Do people know, is there a division of labor there? And do they have a script for their language? And then do they have a proper system of government? And buildings, public buildings, are they good? So these are some of the parameters by which we can know whether civilization is advanced or not. And we also discussed yesterday that Harappan civilization was a Bronze Age civilization. Bronze Age civilization means they extensively used bronze. Okay, and what is bronze? Bronze is an alloy. It's an alloy of copper and tin. Copper and tin, when you mix, you get bronze. It's a harder metal, and it was more useful than only copper, using copper. So they used bronze a lot. That's why it is called Bronze Age civilization. And other civilizations which coexisted with Harappan civilization were Mesopotamian civilization, Chinese civilization, and Egyptian civilization. These civilizations were more or less at the same time. Then we saw where was it located. Okay, it was located in a triangular area. Mostly today it is, all the areas are mostly located in Pakistan, but a few areas are also located in Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Jammu and Kashmir, then Punjab, Rajasthan, and Gujarat in India. Then who discovered, this Harappan civilization was first time it was discovered at a site in Harappa by a historian called Dayaram Sani. Dayaram Sani was the person who first discovered the civilization, and that is why we call it the Harappan civilization. It is also called, actually, it is Indus Valley civilization because this civilization grew on the banks of river Indus. But there are so many cities which developed here on the banks of Indus, which all had the same features. So all these places were having the same culture, same ways of doing things. That is why it is the Indus Valley civilization. Since it was discovered in Harappa for the very first time, it is also called the Harappan civilization. Now, other than that, then we saw which were the main centers, because sometimes they can ask you a question. Whatever I'm teaching you children, it is also from the board perspective. In case, they ask, name any two important centers of Harappan civilization, which is located in Pakistan, then you can say Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. Located in India, then you have to name any two places like Dholavira, Lothal, Alamgir, and Banavali, Kalibangan. So we need to remember at least 4 names. So to be on the, suppose half of mark they give, then we should learn at least 4 names of cities which are located in Pakistan and 4 cities which are located in India. Okay. Then we saw yesterday what were the features of the Great Bath. Great Bath was a public bath. It was a swimming pool where people used to, can come and take bath. And since it was a very beautiful structure, okay, rectangular in shape, and it had 2 flights of steps in the north and in the south. Okay. You can see in the north and in the south, it was made of burnt bricks. And because it was a pool and bricks tend to absorb water, they wanted to make it airtight. Okay, to make it airtight, what did they do? They lined it with bitumen and gypsum. Yesterday, somebody was asking me this question in chat. I missed it. What is gypsum? Okay, gypsum is also a mineral. It is also a substance which is soft, which is used in plastering. You know what is plastering, right? Plastering means coating walls. Okay. Like cement is used to coat the walls nowadays when we make buildings. After putting bricks and all, finally we put cement on top, isn't it? Same way, gypsum is also a material with which we can coat the surfaces, and it was also waterproof. That's why they were using gypsum or bitumen. Then how to introduce water? There was a well which was beside, and from there cold water, hot water, both the water could be introduced in this bath. Then to remove the dirty water also, there was a drainage provision. Okay. And then around in this corridors, you can see here, these are the corridors. So in the ruins, this part, okay, around the pool, those are the corridors. So attached to the corridors were rooms where people probably changed their clothes. Then there were steps to go up, okay, because it was a 2-story building. So upstairs, because this bath, this great bath was used for ceremonial bathing. That means whenever a king or a queen was going to be, whenever a person was going to be made the king or queen, they used to give a religious bath. Whatever they knew, they used to chant some holy, words or whatever we say. We call it mantras these days. So like that, something, to make the whole thing sacred and all that. So that is ceremonial bathing. So this great bath was used for ceremonial bathing. So there are priests who would do that. So the priests probably lived in the upper store in those rooms. These are all what the historians have deduced from seeing the structure. After so many thousands of years also, it is still existing. And after seeing the design of the structure and all, what the historians feel is, they were very clever people. Indus Valley people, they were very artistic. They were very intelligent because they designed the building, they designed the bath in such a beautiful way. They thought of so many things. In such a ancient time, they thought of, drainage system, draining out the dirty water. Suppose it is very cold, you have to introduce hot water. Even today in our swimming pools, most of us don't have the system of introducing hot water. Is it there? In our building swimming pools, it is not there. They thought even of that you should know, if in cold weather, they should have warm water and all in the swimming pool. So that much they were, smart and intelligent. And then also it was used for religious purposes. And we also know that such a structure cannot be built by one person, and it needs a lot of resources, and it also needs a lot of coordination. It needs cooperation. All this can happen only if there is a leader who is directing all these activities, and if there is somebody whose word is so powerful that others listen to him. So what does that mean? It means that there was a ruling class. We don't know what they used to call that ruling class, whether they were called kings, what they were called, we don't know. But definitely there were leaders to their group there, who could, call people, who could organize, who could, bring together resources and people and get all these things made. Okay. Now we will see. Yesterday we also saw the citadel. What is the citadel? Citadel was anything that is built on a height. A height is called a citadel, children. Okay. It's a common English word. If you read the word citadel, you should know that something is on a higher platform. That is the meaning of citadel. Now, in all these cities, most of the cities of Harappan civilization, what the historians found were there was a citadel. Ruins of citadels are there. So the citadel is nothing but they made a high platform, 10 feet, about 10 feet of 10 feet is as big as the height of our room. Nowadays, our flats where we live, our room's height will be 10 feet. It will be, 10 feet it will be. So that big a platform they constructed, solid platform they constructed using bricks. And on top of that, sometimes more than 10 feet also, On top of that, they built important buildings. Now, what are the important buildings? One is whoever was the ruling class, their houses. Okay. Then this great bath, which we discussed, that was also on top of the citadel. Then granaries, whatever food was produced, whatever they wanted to store, they had big granaries. So those granaries were there. And if there were if there were places where all of them, met together, public halls were there, temples, their own temples were there. All these things were located in the citadel. What does this say? This citadel, why they did this was, children, you know that all these ancient civilization are located on the banks of rivers. So even this is located on the banks of Indus River. So suppose there is a flooding during rains and all, definitely rainy season, the rivers can flood. And if all the water comes into the city or the town, they used to live very close to the rivers. Then normal houses were located in the ground level and important buildings were on the citadel. So the reason was, if such a flooding happens, even the people can go to the citadel and protect themselves. They can take some of their precious belongings and they themselves can at least protect their lives by going on top of the citadel and waiting for the flood to get over or recede, water to recede. Understood? So this was also a reason why they built a citadel. The other source is seals. Now you can see here, children, this is a square shaped seal. Now what is the seal? Seal means, children, when it's like a stamp. What is it? It's a stamp. What happens is, suppose those days everybody used to do trading, right? So if I am producing certain goods, now somebody else is also making, let's say, same type of goods. Okay. Now mine are different, his is different. We have to mark it, isn't it? So when we are doing trading, we pack everything. Even today, when you pack thing on the box, we write the address or we do something, no? And we have to mark, like, brand names are there. See, even today, when you buy any product, that brand's logo is there on the product or not? It is there. So if we buy Pepsi, Pepsi's logo is on the product, right? Like that, you buy any TV, or every product has its own logo, and that logo is stamped on the product so that to identify that this is this product. Same way, those days when the traders used to make their goods, they used to stamp their goods with this kind of a seal. So seal was nothing but they used to take either terracotta. You know what is terracotta? Terracotta means red mud. Red mud which used to be baked, with which we make pots today. We make matkas, no? That is terracotta only. So those days they used to use that and they used to make a design on that. They used to make a square thing. They used to make a design on that and bake it and make it hard. Now that used to be pressed on some kind of ink or some color and then stamp it, or use, let's put some, probably they would put, what do you say? Wax. Okay. And they would press this seal on the wax. So what will happen? The impression of the seal will come on the wax. So a trader, what he used to do, he used to pack all his things and on the sack or on the covering, he used to put his seal. Now you understood what is a seal? So this seal, each person had his own seal. Like we all know that even today people have their own logos for their products. Like that, every trader had his own seal. And thousands of seals have been found in the Indus Valley, which have different designs. So those seals are also very important source of information, because what were the designs on the seals? The designs were mainly whatever people did in their daily life. See, if I ask you, come on children, paint something. I don't give you a topic, okay? I will just say, I'll give you paper and pen, and then I say, come on, paint something. So what will you do? You will paint something that you have seen or what you know. Unknown things generally we don't do, isn't it? What we are aware of, we do that only. So you see a beautiful scenery in front of you, you will paint. Or if you like dogs or animals or something, maybe you will sketch that, right? Or if you see that somebody is doing some activity, but it is two children are playing and you like that scene, you will paint. Did you understand? So what happened in their real life, that is what they depicted in their seals. So by studying the seal, we can know a lot about their life. So for example, look at this seal. Now this seal shows a person sitting in a sukhasana, a yogic posture. What does that mean? That they had some finds, maybe this was some form of God and some yogic posture. So maybe they did yoga. And you can see some animals here. There is an elephant here, and there is a tiger, there is a bull and birds. That means in those days, all this existed. Okay. Then you see this looks like some script, isn't it? It looks like some writing. So by seeing this, we know that they had a writing system. Huh? So, and then, so this kind of things, when you see the seals, we get to know a lot of information about their life. Sometimes they depict activities also. What activities they used to do, that would be on the seal. Okay, or what food they used to eat, crops, those kind of things. So we get to know a lot of information from the seal. So what do we come to know? First of all, the seals were also very beautiful. So they were very artistic. And what the seals were used for, it was used to stamp goods. And what do we know from the seals? We come to know a lot of information about the Harappan period. What do we know? Now this seal, children, is called the Pashupati seal. Okay, just give me a minute. Children, can you all hear me? Show me thumbs up if you can hear. Some children are chatting that they can't hear, but mostly all of you can hear, right? Yeah. 1 minute. So this particular, this seal, children, is the historians say that this is called the Pashupati seal. Pashupati seal, Pashupati was a form of Shiva. Okay. So they believe that this was a Pashupati seal, and you can see that this Pashupati god is wearing an elaborate headdress, wearing something on his head. So probably they wore these kind of things. Then there are some animals, and he's in a yogic posture. And in the hands, can you see so many bangles are there? So this shows that even those Indus people used to love wearing lot of bangles in their hands. Okay. So all these kind of things we can know. And then if you, 1 minute. Now, if we see this particular seal, this is the seal of a horse. Okay, this is a horse with one horn in the top. What is that called? Unicorn. What is a unicorn? Unicorn is a horse which has a single horn in front. So this is a unicorn seal. Okay. So that means, now have we seen any such horses with a single horn or something? It's more of a fantasy. These are myths. Myths means what? Which is there in imagination and which probably didn't exist in real life. Correct? So seeing this unicorn seal, we can understand that maybe they believed in certain imaginary things. They had mythical beliefs. Mythical means related to mythology. Okay, mythology is what? Something that you believe and something in which you have faith. you believe very strongly that it is there, but we don't have conclusive proof whether it is there or not. Such things are called myths or mythology. Okay, so by seeing the unicorn seal, we come to know that there were, they believed in certain myths. Clear? Then the shape was either rectangular or square. Mostly it was this shape only they used. Sometimes even circular seals have been found. And from the seals, we have seen inscriptions are there. Script, we know that there is a script, but unfortunately, till today, we have not been able to decode the script, so we don't know what is written there. Correct? Then, what material was it made of? It was made of steatite, agate, and terracotta. Terracotta, I told you, is mud. Steatite and agate are of different types of stones, colored stones there. Okay? On that, by using that, they made the seals. Now, coming to the next source, which is the bearded man. So all of you can see this picture. This person, this is a stone sculpture. Okay, stone sculpture. It was found in Mohenjo-daro. He is shown to be wearing a beard. Now, we don't know who he is, what. So this structure is called the bearded man. Okay, so this bearded man, what do we come to know by seeing this? He's wearing a shawl. Again, look at his eyes. They are half closed. Okay, so that means probably he is also a yogi. So when you're meditating, your eyes are half closed, correct? So probably he's meditating, probably he was a yogi, and you can see he's wearing some kind of a shawl. And that shawl has got designs on it, prints. That means the Harappans knew the art of block printing. Okay. See, they just did not know how to weave clothes. They also made it pretty by putting some designs on it, printing some designs with their hand. Okay, just like they made seals, maybe they made designs and they used some vegetable colors and they printed those designs on their clothes. Understood? So this we know that they did some sort of printing also. So, and they were so artistic. And now this person is also wearing something on his head. So what we come to know is not only women, men were also wearing jewelry those days. Okay. So these are some of the conclusions we get from seeing this. Okay, 1 minute. The next one is a dancing girl. Okay, so this statue is the statue of a dancing girl. Dancing girl means somebody who is an entertainer. Okay, those days also you had some people who would entertain others by singing and dancing. So this is a dancing girl statue and it is made of bronze. Now this is the metal which is bronze. Okay, now even her statue has, see, even she is wearing so many bangles. Okay, she's also wearing so many bangles and she's having a bowl in her hand. Okay, so kind of jewelry they used to wear, all we come to know. And this dancing girl also was found in Mohenjo-daro, and it really shows that they were, you know, the way they made the structure and the sculpture, that they had, you know, they had so much of idea of body proportions. Making sculpture is not easy, you know, it should look real. So you can see that it is looking quite real, you know. So all her, if you see the parts of her body, they have been sculpted very well. So it shows their artistic skill. And then it's having a lot of bangles and some bowl is there. So some things we can, some information we come to know from the dancing girl. These are some of the things that we have found during the excavations. Okay, now the next source is the dockyard. Dockyard. This is a representation of how it looks today. Today, this is how, I mean, not today, those days probably it looked like this. It's an impression, okay? This is an artist's impression of how the dockyard used to look in those days. Where did we find this dockyard? I told you yesterday only when I showed you the map. It is in Lothal. And we know where is Lothal? It is in the mouth of the Gulf of Khambat, Gulf of Cambay. There, in the edge of that is Lothal. So because it is so close to the sea, from there you can get connected to the Arabian Sea, isn't it? And through the Arabian Sea, we can go to other countries also. So Lothal was a very important trading center from where people used to do overseas trade on ships. Lot of goods used to get loaded on the ships, and it used to go to Mesopotamian civilization. Yesterday I told you Syria, Iran, Iraq. This was the place where the Mesopotamian civilization existed. So Indus Valley had lot of trade relations with Mesopotamian civilizations. How do we know that? We know because Indus Valley seals are found in Mesopotamia, and Mesopotamian seals are found in Indus Valley. Understood? While trading, traders used to put those seals on their goods. So these seals they have found here, and our seals are found there. So that shows that there were trading relations between these two countries. Now, what is a dockyard, children? Dockyard is a place where ships come and stop. Okay, it is like a parking area for ships. Okay, that is a dockyard. So you can see that all this in this picture, you can see all boats and ships are coming and they are alighting, and goods are being loaded or they are being removed. And this dockyard was connected by lot of channels. Can you see this? Water channels. These are the water channels. So a lot of water channels were there to connect all these for allowing boats to come. Now see, this is the dockyard, and you need sometimes boats also will carry stuff and they should come. So they should be able to come to the dockyard. So they made channels for the boats to come and alight. Did you understand? So then they covered this whole dockyard with a brick wall. Can you see this? This is a brick wall. They surrounded this with a brick wall. So Lothal is an important trade center, and it carried on lot overseas trade. Now, next is, I told you that we already know that they had some sort of script. So we have found the script in many places. One place where we found is the seals. In the seals, the script was there. Another, you can see this. This is a big signboard. It's a signboard. So you can see the script on signboards. You can see on jewelry also some script. You know, sometimes something is written. Like today we wear lockets with our names, isn't it? We make our names and we wear it in our necklace. Same way, those days also probably they, wrote on necklaces and all something. So we can find the script in the jewelry, on seals, and on rims of jars. Jars are, you know what is a jar? Rim means the corner. The corner of the jar also something is written. Then signboards, obviously this is a signboard. All these places we found the script. Till now, they have found 375 to 400 symbols are there. So like this is one symbol, this is another symbol. Now this is a repeat symbol, but different 375 symbols they have